Women are not spiritual. In fact, what she is the very opposite of spiritual and spirituality. What she is materialism personified. There are vast differences between men and women, and this is one of the biggest ones. Men, we have dreams, ideas, curiosities. We ponder, what is the meaning of life? What exactly is reality? What's beyond the stars? What's below and beneath the sea? And not only do we think of these things, we venture out to explore this world. We do this because we can think outside of ourselves and wonder about what lies beneath and what is above. The female, on the other hand, has not the ability to think outside herself. Her thoughts are only on what is comfortable, what is convenient, what's pleasing, what feels good, what boosts her ego and her self-esteem. Flatteries. This is opposite of spirituality. Spirituality seeks the greater good. Spirituality seeks for one to change themselves. Improvement. To improve for other people. Women only seek the improvement of themselves for themselves. She cannot comprehend the world around her, not because she doesn't have the mental capacity or the brain function to do so. It is simply because her world is simply herself. Being spiritual necessitates being unselfish. It requires self-sacrifice. And let's not get emotions confused with spirituality. A woman's emotional outburst of joy or even of pain is no indication of a spirituality. Going to church and screaming and yelling, those things only serve to make her feel better about herself, to feel involved, to be involved, to receive the attention from those around her, to appear spiritual. For women love appearances. For women love the outward surface and would dare to look beneath. Thinking back to the Garden of Eden in the Bible, Eve, being tempted by Satan, was told not to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And as the scripture says, that the tree itself was desirable because it was pleasing to the eyes, desirable to make one wise, and good for food. So in that we see that a woman's greatest temptation is herself, drawn through by her own lust for the material, her own lust for what's pleasing, and initially didn't have the self-sacrifice to be obedient, to deny oneself of pleasure. Women very rarely can deny themselves of pleasures. Now, of course, there's exceptions to the rule, and of course not all women, but the exceptions are just that, exceptions. And very few women are exceptional. back to the story of Garden Eden. So Satan knew the best way to get her to fall was through herself. And then we go to Adam. Satan knew the way to cause him to stumble, to make him disobey the command of God, was through the woman. And isn't this the exact situation today? The woman lusts only for herself and for her comforts. But as men, our biggest desire outside of that of our own survival, and once those survival needs are met, like food, clothing, and shelter, the thing that we desire the most, the thing that we worship, the thing that we give power to, is the woman. So while we worship women, women in turn worship themselves. Because of this, her desire to be pleased at every turn and at every moment, she is the driving force globally of consumerism. What she is the economy itself. I heard an estimate of women with their spending make up 90% of all items bought. And a large percentage of that 10% that's left are men buying items for women. We wouldn't have consumerism on this mass scale. We wouldn't have materialism on this scale if it wasn't for the nature of women, which the global elite, the powers that be, who think just like Satan, knows how to manipulate the woman through her own lust to develop their own riches. This is brilliant. And the way to get men to fall off is through the woman. This is why simpism and manginaism is so high and on the rise. Because we worship not God, but women. The woman is not a spiritual being. She is materialistic. She is concerned about her looks, her clothes, her shoes, her comforts. When women travel, it's very rare to see a woman traveling for educational purposes. Not education as far as a higher institution, but self-learning. To educate oneself about the world around you. Have you ever heard a woman say she wants to go to Egypt to see the pyramids? Or to go to somewhere and study ancient cultures? Of course not. For traveling and vacations serve to please the woman in comfort, to lay on the beach and have drinks brought to you, to look good so others can see. She is materialism. The Christian church, as wicked as it is, these demons who preside over these congregations are brilliant. For the woman is the driving force behind the televangelist that requires your money. The T.D. Jakes, the Creflo Dollars, the Joel Osteens. What would these so-called ministries be without a woman sending their donations in expectation to treat God as a genie, to get material wealth from the Creator himself? She is materialism. And these televangelists rake in billions behind this. In fact, just as women does not care about the nature of men, the nature of the universe, the nature of our world. She cares not. How does this thing benefit her? She doesn't care how a camera works, how a television works, how a cell phone works. She only wants to know, is this thing on? What can it do for me? Does she care about the passions of a particular man? Does she care about his thoughts and his ideas? No. How does this thing work? How can it please me? And as a woman sees God himself, man himself, as a woman sees men as only as a utility, a tool to serve her, she looks at God himself as only another man that she can derive material benefits from. That is the nature of woman. She is materialism. God only serves as someone to give her what she wants and desires for comforts. They care not about the nature of God, the character of God, but only what they can get from him. And these are the beings that we worship. And instead of praying to God, sacrificing for God, we do these things for the female.